squeezing together. For England and Wales at the moment, we've got this weather front sinking south. That's providing a lot of cloud and some drizzly conditions over the Midlands, South Wales and South West England through the evening. A bit of patchy rain later tonight for East Anglia and the South East. But behind that, clearer skies will bring a chill first thing. Temperatures down to 2 or 3 degrees. That's in towns and cities. Add on that wind and it really will feel pretty raw on Thursday morning. But generally, it's a fine and sunny start. Now, through the day tomorrow, there will be some showers grazing the east coast of England, at times Pembrokeshire, Cornwall too, the eastern side of Northern Ireland. The showers in northern Scotland falling as snow over the hills, hail likely down to lower levels, and the wind's slowly easing here, but nevertheless a cold wind blowing for much of the day. Temperatures only 6 or 7 for most places. Add on that wind, it feels even colder. Things turning pretty cold pretty quickly on Thursday evening, but up to the north, we're going to see wet weather pushing in. Some snow on the hills, and this zone of rain will slip its way steadily southwards during Friday. A lot of cloud around, outbreaks of rain, and increasingly windy. And increasingly, the showers turning back to snow over northern Scotland. So, a cause for concern as this weather turns very lively through Friday and Saturday. Low pressure heading through the North Sea. Look at those isobars pinching together. A Met Office wind warning in place across northern Britain on Friday, and more widely across the UK on Saturday. Gusts of wind 50-60 miles an hour inland, stronger than that on the coast, could cause some disruption. If you're travelling on Friday or Saturday, keep up to date with the forecast.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of 2 wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Hello and good evening. My name's Dominic Frisby, and in just a moment, myself and 2 so-called comedians will be flicking through some of the stories in tomorrow's papers. But first, here's the news.
Good evening, I'm Tamsin Roberts. The latest headlines. The Prime Minister says he's shocked, appalled and deeply saddened following the deaths of at least 30 migrants trying to cross the Channel. British authorities continue to intercept an increasing number of boats. Recent figures show more than 25,700 people have reached the UK this year, 3 times more than all of 2020. After chairing an emergency Cobra meeting, Boris Johnson said more needs to be done to stem the flow of migrants crossing the Channel.
operation that's been conducted by our friends on the beaches, supported, as you know, with £54 million from the UK to help patrol the beaches. All the technical support that we've been giving, they haven't been enough. Our offer is to increase our support, but also to work together with our partners.
A man has been charged with the murders of a couple who were killed in Somerset. Stephen and Jennifer Chappell were stabbed to death in their home while their 2 young sons were asleep upstairs. 34-year-old Colin Reeves is due to appear at Taunton Magistrates Court tomorrow. Emergency services are warning people to keep their windows and doors closed after a huge fire in East Yorkshire. Footage posted on social media shows flames burning near residential properties. A large plume of smoke was also seen billowing over the town of Hessle. Fire crews are still in attendance, trying to get the blaze under control. 2 police officers who shared crime scene photos describing the victims as dead birds have been sacked. Bieber Henry and Nicole Smallman were killed in northwest London in June last year. PC Jamie Lewis and Dennis Jaffa, who strayed from the cordon to take photos, admitted posting them on WhatsApp. A tribunal found them guilty of gross misconduct, describing their actions as shameful. Offenders who kill an emergency services worker while they're on duty will be given mandatory life jail sentences. The change in law follows a 2-year campaign by Lizzie Harper, whose husband, police officer Andrew, was killed while responding to a late-night burglary call. 3 teenagers were cleared of murder but convicted of manslaughter. Chickens are going into lockdown again. From Monday, UK poultry owners will need to keep them indoors and away from wild birds. The strict new measures have been brought in to try and control an outbreak of bird flu in Britain. Well, you're right up to date. Now it's back to headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, the show that saves you the chore of reading tomorrow's papers, as we flick through them for you and pick out the best bits, a full sleep ahead of the crowd. In case you're wondering who the heck this bloke is, my name's Dominic Frisby. If you do a Google image search of middle-class man, you'll find a picture of me washing my Volvo in Wranglers while listening to Genesis. Basically, I'm Marks & Spencer's target market. And with me are 2 of the UK's finest comedians in the GBNews prize bracket. But before I introduce them, let's flick through tomorrow's headlines. And no prizes for guessing which story pretty much all of them are leading with. The Mail's headline reads... what does the Mail's headline read? It's been deleted from my auto cue. The Metro has death in the Channel. Why didn't the French stop them? The blame game begins. No prizes for guessing whose side the Metro's on. The Financial Times has the drowning story, and also Diamond apologies to China after saying JP Morgan will outlive the Communist Party. The Financial Times will catch up with me in just a moment. Let's have a look at the Financial Times. Let's get the next one up on the screen. No, it's not coming. Okay. Right, and it also, the Financial Times also has, you can't see this, but it also has JP Morgan will outlive the Communist Party. He's apologising for China for saying that, though, in fact, he's probably right, because banks last longer than regimes. We're still on the eye, but one day the pictures will catch up with the auto cue, and I look forward to that day. The Guardian it leads with tragedy at sea. It's with us. We have victory. The Guardian has tragedy at sea claims 31 lives in deadliest day of refugee crisis. The Independent has tragedy in the Channel. The Telegraph also has 31 migrants die in Channel disaster. The Eye has horror in the Channel, 31 die in search of a better life. The Sun has shameful. French police idly look on as rafts head to the UK. The Sun on the same side as Metro. The Mirror has gone with a human tragedy, and There we are. And that is the end of that little introduction, that run-through of tonight's headlines. Not what you'd call slick, but perhaps nevertheless as entertaining as it might be under the circumstances, which brings me to tonight's guests. With me, tonight's comedians, we have one of the most fertile comedians on the circuit, at least judging by the number of kids he has, Josh Howie. There we go. Hello, Josh. What Josh doesn't know is that at least 2 of his kids are mine. And she's written a book, she's written a sitcom, and she's written several drunken tweets. It's the twinkly-eyed East Lothian Rona Cameron. Hello,
Thank
Rona.
you.
How are you doing?
It's
You
a
looked
lovely introduction, yeah.
You looked a bit angry at that. I'm sorry.
Well, the last time I was on, you said I was bossy, and now you said I'm angry.
Well, no.
What's going on, Dominic?
No. I just read what was on the thing.
Yeah.
No, it was a light-hearted jest, I thought.
Yeah.
And can I just make sure you haven't had an affair with my wife?
I can confirm that I haven't, and
okay.
it was just a joke.
Okay, that's
He was
good.
really rattled by the auto cue there, I think.
It's not what you'd call slick, but
no,
we're gonna
and
recover this.
continuing on that vein, yeah, the Mail.
Our
is the
first
first
story,
yeah,
yeah.
and I just don't know what the headlines of the Mail either are, but certainly, obviously, concentrating on this absolutely terrible tragedy that everyone is going to be talking about for a long time into the future. Boris Johnson calls on France to smash slave gangs who are getting away with murder, as 33 migrants, including 5 women and a girl, drown in the deadliest ever Channel crossing. Of course, a lot of blame is being aimed at the French police. You said that yourself. They've been accused of idly watching. But I feel very cynical about this emphasis on the slave gangs, because it's not just about slave gangs, is it? There's a wider, much wider and more complex debate here. I believe that they cracked down on quite a lot of the other ways that people were coming here. They've been quite effective at that, and then which leaves this terrible area of just getting in random boats on the channel. And I also think that the weather apparently has played a part in that. There's been a massive exodus at this time of people who were planning to do that ahead of what is going to be very treacherous weather, even more than now. So it's all been concentrated at this time. And what's made really awkward about this is that our relationship with France at the moment, well, I say our, I don't mean anything to do with me or, I mean mostly the English government's relationship with France. Relationship at the moment is at an all-time low, isn't it?
Maybe not all-time low, but it is.
Yes, of course.
Low.
Well,
yeah.
Yes. Well,
it was probably worse during Agincourt.
Yes.
But yeah, it's
obviously.
Yeah.
But it was only these few years when we were really friends. Well, you guys, I can't speak for Scotland and France, as you know, have a very different relationship. But anyway, there's a lot of blame on either side.
There is a lot of blame, and I think it's a little bit facile.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not absolving the French, but and there were pictures of French boats ushering, migrant boats into English water. So, they're no innocent, but everyone's busy blaming everyone else. And it strikes me that because nobody's really owning this issue, at least at the level of authority, there's no clarity. They're hoping, everyone's on one side, everyone's being terrified. There's so many different sides to it, but it seems to be easier to sort of make a noise and hope the issue goes away. But, with modern transport and modern communication and the world as it is, the reality is there are more people in the world than ever before, and more of them are on the move.
Yeah, for very valid reasons.
In many cases,
I mean, all the very reactionary views of this is, people coming here, we're not looking after our own people, there's too much population. And yes, of course, we are massively overpopulated all over the world, but the truth is that people don't get in a dinghy and try to get across the channel unless there is really good reason. And these people are fleeing, atrocious situations, and they need to come up with a proper plan. There needs to be, these people have to be looked after. I mean, they'd probably be very happy to do a lot of the jobs here that other people are not happy to do, don't you think, in our
sometimes
0 hours economy?
There are some people who come with good reason to better their lives and bring their families and so on.
Yeah.
And there are other people who...
And they've already got links or roots here.
And there are other people who come here because they don't like us and they want to cause harm. that is a minority, but you know you have to accept that.
But there are people from here that want to cause us harm as well, and a lot of them are in the government.
Sure.
You'd say as a...
I think something people don't talk about a lot is why do they not stop in Holland or Belgium or France or Western Europe? And quite an interesting factor is English. A lot of them speak English.
Yes.
They have basic English.
Or have
they
friends
don't have French
or relatives here who also...
No, but I mean, it's just the simple language thing is a reason that people want to come here, because they're several steps further forward by being able to speak the language than they are in France or Germany, where they don't speak the language.
Yeah. But we need to... These people need proper asylum. You know, this situation has to be accepted and properly dealt with. I fear that Johnson's going to pin it all on the French authorities and this constant use of the word, you know, slave gangs.
He needs to get his own asylum laws in order and clear what the policy is, because at the moment there's no clarity.
No.
Josh, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, that's what Priti Patel has basically said, that that's what they need to do, is that they need to sort out their plan for immigration, they need to get it published and to make sure that people know exactly what is going to happen, and deal with what she calls the long-standing pull factors, which are bringing people over. I imagine one of them, like you say, being English as a language, but and make sure that I guess I don't know what her plan is, to sort of show England in a not good light to people and go, this is the reality, and maybe it's not so great.
OK, we're going to move on now.
Well, most of us living here see it in an awful light.
So how about this for a headline? Super strain new COVID variant with 32 horrific mutations detected in Africa amid fears it could escape vaccines. Josh, you've got this one.
I'm slightly scared about this because I'm worried that this tape is going to be played. Like, before I start joking about this particular mutation, I'm worried that aliens in the future are going to play this clip, go, oh, look at this idiot, like, talking about the variation that killed all of humanity. So hopefully that's not what's going to happen.
Well, we should stress it's only been found in very small numbers.
Yeah.
So
now, I think first of all, it's become really part of tradition now. Like, you know, it's coming up to Christmas. The high street get the lights, the Christmas trees go up, and then we find a new variant. I think this is going to be part of the new Christmas tradition, finding new variants every year, which are going to ruin everything. I don't think it's gone that far yet. The most important thing, of course, is we have to find a name that's not racist. That's probably the first thing. It's like, it comes from, I think, at the moment it's in Botswana and South Africa and Hong Kong. So we've got to find some sort of neutral name.
We call it the Botswanan variant? Or
well, you can.
Perhaps we could...
Well, I'm going to get away with it.
Perhaps we could add it to the 12 Days of Christmas, which needs to be...
call it the Christmas variant.
Rewritten, I think, to fit in. The expert, Dr. Tom...
the COVID-19 Days of Christmas.
Exactly. Dr. Tom Peacock, a virologist at Imperial College, tweeted about the find, saying it was the first time that he'd seen 2 particular mutations in one variant. And he described the mutation profile of the coronavirus as really awful.
That's scientific words, by the way.
It's really awful.
It's really awful.
Really awful. How awful? Really awful.
Yeah.
Have people come up to you and gone, I've got the Rona, and made hilarious puns on your name?
Funnily enough, no, I haven't.
But they will now.
That might happen, though. Thanks for that.
Opened the door.
What's interesting, though, is that in Japan, supposedly because of these mutations, they've been seen as a bad thing. But what's happened in Japan, the Delta variant has now mutated into, it's gone so far that it's actually killing itself.
Yeah.
So there was a massive spike, and now the cases have just sort of dropped.
Do they call it the Delta variant in Japan? Or do they call it the Kent?
Yeah, Kent variant. But what I'm saying is we need to bring over some Japanese to kill it up here. That's
Call it done. I'm emailing Priti Patel in the morning.
Variant overwhelmed.
Right, moving on. This in law that PC Andrew Harper's widow has managed to win, Rona.
Yes, PC Andrew Harper's widow wins justice for police and 999 workers killed in line of duty. And it's the Harper's Law is the name of it. The widow of PC Andrew Harper has won her her fight for all killers of police and other 999 staff to be given automatic life sentences. I'm sure we all remember this terrible case of this, like, seemed to be just a really lovely guy, newly married to his childhood sweetheart, and he was dragged along and killed in the most horrific way when approaching people who'd stolen, I think, a quad bike. His killers were cleared of murder, but they were jailed for between 13 and 16 years for manslaughter. And of course, they can be freed after serving half of that. So this new legislation means that they'd be sentenced to a far longer minimum time behind bars. So, well, what can we say about this story? It's terrible. It was absolutely horrific. And I think it must give, well, not closure, but it must give Lissy Harper, his widow, a sense of some kind of
worth something.
Achievement, yeah, because she's fought very hard for this. It was heartbreaking seeing her speaking about this. But I'm not quite sure how I feel about this statement. Those who seek to harm our emergency service workers represent the very worst of humanity, and it is right that future killers be stripped of the freedom to walk our streets with a life sentence. I mean, yes, it seems absolutely psychotic and crazy. Why would anyone kill anyone? But why would anyone kill emergency workers? But I'm not sure about this as a blanket kind of law in general, especially in the wake of, I mean, I mean, there are some other examples of very worst of humanity.
If I've read the article correctly, the stance is that you get a longer sentence
for
killing an emergency service person, whether murder or manslaughter, if you were committing a crime at the time of doing it, than you would if you killed an ordinary person, a non-emergency worker.
Yes.
So in a way, they're elevated to a...
That's right, a
higher status.
Status, yes. She suffered...
Is that what you're saying you not feel comfortable about? Or?
Yes, especially, I mean, you could argue that a policeman who shows his ID to a woman walking along the street at night and takes her away and rapes her and kills her is the very worst of humanity. So... or a policeman who chokes a man who can't breathe to death.
Yeah, so you could reverse it and say emergency service workers who commit crimes, murder or manslaughter.
No, I mean, I'm just not sure if it should be an automatic sentence just because it's emergency workers. But I can see why this person who has been robbed of her beautiful partner in life has sought this law to be changed, you know?
It's the manslaughter part is the bit that I'm a little bit wary of. There's the difference between actually going out and consciously murdering somebody and manslaughter, which usually suggests, and not in this particular case, and I do believe they deserve longer in jail, what happened to him, but manslaughter is quite a broad remit of unintentional death. And to bring that in, and if someone, someone is drunk driving, that's technically a crime. Someone runs over somebody when they're drunk. I don't know. I'm not saying that I planning on drinking and driving or anything, but I just think that there are definite still grey areas at the edge of this.
Yeah.
That make me a little bit wary.
Right, we're going to take a break. Don't you dare think about nodding off to sleep. We'll be back in just a moment. And we start this break with the weather, which is chilly willy.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Good evening. A cold feel tomorrow, but generally a sunny day. Come Friday and Saturday, however, we're in for much livelier weather, very strong winds and some wet weather too. An area of low pressure is going to bring some snow showers through the night across northern Scotland, and actually here already turning very, very windy, those isobars squeezing together. For England and Wales at the moment, we've got this weather front sinking south. That's providing a lot of cloud and some drizzly conditions over the Midlands, South Wales and southwest England through the evening. A bit of patchy rain later tonight for East Anglia and the southeast. But behind that, clearer skies will bring a chill first thing. Temperatures down to 2 or 3 degrees. That's in towns and cities. Add on that wind and it really will feel pretty raw on Thursday morning. But generally it's a fine and sunny start. Now, through the day tomorrow, there will be some showers grazing the east coast of England, at times Pembrokeshire, Cornwall too, the eastern side of Northern Ireland. The showers in northern Scotland falling as snow over the hills, hail likely down to lower levels, and the wind's slowly easing here, but nevertheless a cold wind blowing for much of the day. Temperatures only 6 or 7 for most places. Add on that wind, it feels even colder. Things turning pretty cold pretty quickly on Thursday evening, but up to the north we're going to see wet weather pushing in. Some snow on the hills, and this zone of rain will slip its way steadily southwards during Friday. A lot of cloud around, outbreaks of rain, and increasingly windy. And increasingly, the showers turning back to snow over northern Scotland. So, a cause for concern as this weather turns very lively through Friday and Saturday. Low pressure heading through the North Sea. Look at those isobars pinching together. A Met Office wind warning in place across northern Britain on Friday, and more widely across the UK on Saturday. Gusts of wind 50-60 miles an hour inland, stronger than that on the coast, could cause some disruption. If you're travelling on Friday or Saturday, keep up to date with the forecast.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of 2 wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Hello and welcome back to Headliners. My name's Dominic Frisby. With me are Rona Cameron and Josh Howie. We've looked at the front pages. Now we open the papers and look into the murky depths. And our next story is from the Mail, which is the row over whether
MPs can bring their babies into the House of Commons. Rona.
Josh. I want to do this. As the person with... I thought I had 5 kids. It could be 3 kids now. But Rona was getting all the funny stories, so I've demanded this one. What's happened? The Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, he's announced this probe to make... At the moment, it's actually you're not supposed to take children or babies into the House of Commons. But then people have been doing it for years, but I think they sort of solidified the rules recently, and Stella Creasy's sort of been getting some emails from doing it saying you shouldn't be doing it. And so now that's why they're going to open this probe and hopefully look at changing the laws, because it is a bit ridiculous. I think everybody's on board to change the laws, not the laws, but the policies of how the House is run. Downing Street said that Boris Johnson wants to see further improvements on making Parliament family-friendly.
So if he's allowed to bring all his own kids into Parliament,
exactly.
There won't be any space.
Well, I was thinking maybe they could open a Peppa Pig world in the House of Parliament. He does love it a lot. So it does seem ridiculous at the moment the technical rules
say that you can't do it. Hopefully they do sort this out.
Well, at what age?
Well, this is it, exactly. But certainly when you're, if someone's breastfeeding
I think so,
and a couple of months or what, to 16 or so.
Because I think...
That's how we do it in our family.
Yeah, well, because certainly in the first few months, the kids, it's almost like an extension of
you. They don't do
isn't
anything.
it?
They don't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
if they start crying...
Yeah. See, it's difficult, isn't it? Because all psychological evidence, which I completely feel strongly about, is that a mother and baby should be together, particularly for the first 3 years. I'm sure you'll agree with this.
I'd say first 20, 21.
Certainly first 3 years of a child's life. You know, if you want to make the most stable human being, you know, the mother will be attached to the baby for the first 3 years. And I've always felt that, that for women who have to leave their babies somewhere else and go to work, it would not be beneficial for the baby. So I feel quite traditional with that. That's fact, right? All the studies from the great attachment theorists, Bowlby, Winnicott, you'll know about this. It's absolutely proven that that bond needs to be completely protected. But there should also be laws in place and money available. And let's not forget, it's another reminder that there is plenty money somewhere else to deal with this and many other things. There should be enough money for women to take breaks from their work and be with the child. If you can't...
Who should pay for that?
The super rich.
Well, no, I think that the money that's saved by creating a bunch of human beings who aren't going to become drug addicts, who aren't going to have these issues later on in life, health issues, all these benefits that you're going to get later on.
Crime.
Get them straight away.
Depression, anxiety, addiction.
Absolutely. As someone with 5 kids,
who's going to organise the spending of it?
I will organise it.
OK.
In my manifesto.
Not the government.
But, however, so look, I do think that I sometimes feel with some women, are you working or are you having a child? Because if your work involves you going away from your child, that's not good for your child. And again, one would think, well, then that's when the traditional family sort of worked out, wasn't it? Because the woman was at home with a child. And of course, on a political level, that is not fair. That's not right. But on a biological level, it is. So they need to support women to be able to do what they have to do
if taxation
and be with their child.
And they hadn't debased the currency, both parents wouldn't have to work. Right, moving on to the next story.
One more thing. I think if women could take their children to work, it would keep them out maybe off the cafes and transport. That's
a reason enough, is it? Get them out of the cafes.
They become really annoying.
How often do you start a job and then realise, actually, this isn't for me? Rona.
I thought you were speaking from personal experience.
Are you talking about Magdalena Andersson?
I am.
Sweden's
Andersson,
Sweden's first female prime minister. Hey! Yep. But she resigns only hours after being appointed. So this was obviously a very big moment in Swedish history here, and of course a special day. Yeah, just a few hours. Her coalition partners, the Greens, quit the government, and Sweden's prime minister-elect had to resign just several hours after being appointed the first female political leader.
Is that the one? I mean, I'm looking at a photo here. I'm assuming that they're...
I never think to look at the photos. I forget about
Is that her? I mean, or is she the one who didn't get the job?
Yeah.
She looks not happy about it.
That one there sitting down.
I hope that...
What's going on here?
She sort of realised,
No, she's realised...
Someone who's over their heads.
She's realised, actually, that's probably in my favour because I'm 54. And with my menopause, I wouldn't be able to handle...
But why exactly did she resign?
Well, because of the coalition that happened. Are you testing me now?
Yeah.
I think it just all...
Right.
I'm testing you. I'm just trying to expand the story for...
I think it all fell apart. They were trying to
put the Green Party coalition decided to leave the government after... It's all about the budget, the pass on the budget. It failed to pass its budget.
Yeah, I mean, she also didn't make it easy. She said she described herself as raring to go, and I think she probably took that literally.
There was a coalition, and the other members of the coalition didn't stick to the original agreement.
Someone read the actual article.
There we go.
Yeah.
Josh, we have a story.
The tragedy is she was seen as a pragmatic centrist.
Well, maybe the pragmatic thing to do, if people weren't honouring their side of the deal, was to stand down.
I also would have thought that pragmatic would have been wiped away with menopause as well. Because as one who has suffered so badly from their menopause, I'm always keen to point out that it's a tsunami when it hits you. Let me
of
tell you. So,
non-pragmatism.
yes, and not centrist, all over the place, I would say.
OK, Josh, we've got a story about pupils getting anxious about exams.
Yes, it's it's somewhere here, but it is here. No, it is. Yes, here it is.
You're doing your best.
So this is from the page numbers. Forgive me. Peppa Pig World is great, and it really is. So yes, from the Eye. Obviously, the last couple of years, the whole exam process has been up in smoke, and they gave out the grades according to the teachers kind of just picked a letter out of a hat. Seemingly, what's happened now is that they're afraid that in case the worst happened again, and we did go into lockdown, or they couldn't do their exams. I think what happens is these exam boards want to be able to look back at tests through the year and go, oh well, that's indicative of the kind of grade that they get. But then the effect of that is it's totally freaking out all the students who are basically being told two different things like, oh yeah, this is just a test and don't worry about it. And then also being told, but this is also your possible grade. So it does seem a little bit unfair for them to, and it's got to be stressful if every...
More mixed messing from...
Yeah, exactly.
And more stress. Everybody's stressed and anxious.
Clarity.
Yes.
Yeah, no clarity.
So,
particularly in our menopause.
Well, that's no chance of that until you're in your mid-60s.
So it's a bit like, I was thinking it's a bit like...
What?
Well, when it subsides slightly, the clarity.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right, when those nasty menopause years subside, the clarity comes, just in time for death.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So they've nothing to worry about, these young people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We could first of all say, don't worry about it. Exams don't matter. And they're not right now. And number two is this whole but it does seem like they're sort of going, oh, the tests, it's just a test, and then it turns out it's like Squid Game.
Yeah, I know. It's
like Squid
And is
Games,
it not also going to be
then it really
announced
is
at any moment, like sort of musical chairs? You don't have to just, there's a test. Does it not just happen like that instantly?
Well, they probably tell them it's tomorrow or something.
Yeah, your life will be decided tomorrow.
Right, a Donald Trump picture book for all those that can't be bothered to read. Rona, you've got a story for
I'm turning into that kind of person, actually. I just like looking at the pictures. But yes, Trump's had a right roasting on the Jimmy Kimmel show. He has been totally slagged off by the host of that very popular show in America. As Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel.
I've never heard of Jimmy Kimmel.
He's big.
Jimmy Kimmel, come on, man. He's described the picture book as an Instagram photo dump. Donald Trump.
Word.
So Donald Trump's self-obsessed, his narcissism has no limits. He's brought out this picture book in time for Christmas, OK? Donald Trump. 300 photos taken during the president's one term in office.
I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
That's a good photo,
It's been published by his eldest son's company. And of course, it's been completely slagged off by anyone in their right mind.
It's so expensive, though.
Listen, but seriously, the book chronicles the greatness of the last 4 years, including the storming of the Capitol, with powerful images unlike anything else that has ever been published.
Yeah, like
unlike any, you've never seen anything.
It's bigger.
Like
what did he say? It's going to be the biggest.
Good salesman.
Never seen anything like this. This is going to blow everyone away.
The Bible out the water.
Yeah, this is going to blow. And I use, the day I left on a helicopter, it's all there.
Did
you see I had the soundtrack that sort of...
Very good impersonation.
Yeah.
It's not, I can do voices I've never capitalised. I'm not bad.
Yeah.
But not as good as this man. This is going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic, this photo.
You got
to get it from your kids.
Your hair and
you got to get it. See, I've taken the stiffness. You had a stiffness? Yeah. So anyway, I'm blaming Donald Trump's mother on this occasion for everything. It's not her fault because she was unwell, but she neglected him, and there is some serious shadow in the Trump family.
I bet she looked after him really well for the first.
It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault.
But when the president...
She was very unwell.
Time for an ad break. We'll see you in a moment. Don't go to sleep.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilized conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. More stories from tomorrow's papers. Rona Cameron and Josh Howie are with me. And we have a footballer story that isn't about football. It's about blackmail. What happened to all good old drinking, fighting and drug abuse, Josh?
Well, fortunately, I don't know much about football, i.e. drinking, drug addicts, and but I do know about sex tapes. So, Real Madrid.
Having appeared in many or watched many?
I'll leave that to the audience's imagination. But what's happened is a footballer who's called Karim Benzema. Amazing. Sorry, I apologise, football people. He was found guilty for his role in blackmailing another player who had a sex tape, and they were obviously, I suppose it came out, and they were blackmailing about 150,000 euros to try and keep it hidden. We have the sex tape now. We're going to start playing that, I believe. Unless, is anything?
Oh, no, it's gone down.
Oh, the old GBN technical difficulties have happened yet again.
Did you say gone down?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you have seen it?
What amazes me, though, is he had a 10 million euro or a 10 million pound salary is what his salary is, and he's bribing his fellow teammate for 150 grand.
Yeah. That's not good.
WTF?
He earns around 10 million a year. 10 million a year.
Wow, it's ridiculous. So his fine of sort of 60-ish grand or whatever, what does that mean? He's got a year suspended sentence and this fine, which makes basically
he's
nothing.
lost a year of his career. He can't play for a year.
No, that's not it. It's a suspended sentence in terms of.
I think he's a bit of a shady character because he lost his place in the French team for a few years because of some other shenanigans, various affairs and whatnot. Anyway, right, serious news now. The UK faces a booze shortage this Christmas due to supply chain chaos. There are serious concerns that we may have to face our families sober.
Exactly. How many people are going to feel the spirit of Christmas without any alcohol to anaesthetise and numb them through the laborious meeting up with people they feel disconnected with?
People who abandoned them in the first 3 years.
That's right. Well, this cheers me up, this story, a bit, because I would really like the UK to face a booze shortage this Christmas due to a supply chain chaos. This is what they are predicting. There are serious concerns. Some types of wine and spirits may not be available unless ministers take urgent action to fix lorry driver shortage and shipping delays. The Wine and Spirit Trade Association said it received multiple reports from its members that importing products is now taking up to 5 times longer than normal. So how much do you think people are going to enjoy Christmas without alcohol? Because I'd say it's a major part.
It's going to be tough.
I think the free market will prevail.
Well,
booze will find its way into people's stomachs.
That's why we're drinking more, because of the free market.
It's a worldwide shortage of travel issues going on, and it's the same thing affecting children's toys. They were saying there's a possible shortage. My solution, of course, would be to get those trucks that have all the children's toys in them, empty those toys, fill them up with booze, and then Christmas will be saved for
Josh Howie, you should be in charge of this country.
Thank you.
It would be...
I don't drink anymore, so, you know, I would like everyone to join me in that misery.
I gave up for about 6 months last year, and I felt so good.
Man, you were so boring, I remember.
No, I started drinking again, and now I'm totally dependent.
Yeah, but I mean, the alcohol and Christmas link is shocking. I really do feel there is no need for Christmas at all. I want to cancel Christmas.
Keep the alcohol and ban
No, I think people really should be not worried about buying things this year. I think people should take the year off and just do something for someone else.
I agree. I'm going to tell my kids that. That's exactly what I'm telling them when I get home tomorrow. They are saying Shane Brennan, who is the chief executive of the Cold Chain Federation, basically said it's an unprecedented period of stress. All the shipping containers are in the wrong place. So essentially, I think what happened is all this alcohol has ended up in Saudi Arabia. And we'll see if it gets back in time.
Racism, anti-Semitism and paedophilia. Just another day in cricket. Allegedly. Now, Josh, as our sporting expert, you've got the story here.
Why am I getting all the sports stuff? I know nothing about football. I know nothing about cricket. So the BBC strip Michael Vaughan of his for his Ashes coverage, basically over the Yorkshire racism row. And so he went on Instagram and he said he's very disappointed and he's going to miss working with great colleagues, but he's looking forward to being behind the mic for Fox Cricket in Australia.
They haven't cancelled him, but the BBC has.
It's such a sort of like, I really regret, but I got this job, so
yeah.
And also he says the issues facing cricket are bigger than any individual case. I don't know what particular case he might be talking about. We stress that, of course, Michael Vaughan has denied all the allegations made against him. Interestingly, I was having a drink last night with a former professional cricketer, and he
off.
Well, I've got the connections, Rona. You see,
a few months' time, you won't be able to have that drink.
Well, exactly. I was getting it while I could, but anyway, he was just saying alcohol is rife in cricket.
No.
It's much more than it is in rugby or football. Wow. Those sports have moved on, cricket hasn't.
Yeah.
And he blames many, many of the problems, including this whole thing, on alcohol.
It's just not so skilled, is it, cricket? It's easy to just be happy.
There's a lot of waiting around time.
You and I have so many ideological differences. We have to just move beyond
them. The main thing, look, this is what you said. All I wanted to do is play cricket and play for my England and live my dream and live my family's dream.
That's all I wanted to do.
Rafiq said. I get tired of hearing from sports people, unless they are political and, have got the right kind of ideology. I just wish they'd just go and play with their bat and ball or jump over their fence and just shut up. Take, for example, the hypocrisy of David Beckham taking all that money, millions of pounds. He does all that stuff for... What's the charity he does all that...
The Victoria Beckham Foundation?
Well, he's made your...
$3 million a year
so much, but it's taken 15 million, is he not, for the Qatar bid, the World Cup? He's the face of that. And then there's all the...
You're a real expert on this.
Politics of Saudi Arabia. It's so hypocritical.
Definitely need more football players and cricket players talking about politics. That is what...
And give your money away to
instead of comedians.
Don't get on...
Now, some good news to go along with the new COVID variant.
Yes.
We have an asteroid potentially hitting the Earth.
You can get cream for that.
It seems the film Armageddon was more fact than fiction. Looking
was that a forced laugh? Oh,
it was a little bit polite.
Something
but I was trying to make it. I was trying to do one of those seamless.
Yeah. All these other problems, the migrant crisis, the different
COVID.
variant, no alcohol for Christmas. What are we going to do about mothers and babies? Everything, Brexit, everything is going to be blown away because.
You say that we might finally solve Brexit.
Yeah.
Right.
Only an asteroid.
Bring out the asteroid.
Yeah. Only an asteroid across the Irish Sea. Yeah. But, yep. OK, so NASA today launched a new mission to knock an asteroid off track 6.8 million miles from Earth. $330,000 million. I'm dyscalculic, by the way, so there's a lot of figures in this item. Which
just say the number.
Like doing this, right?
Like in with football players.
So, OK, the deal is that if an asteroid is...
We've seen Armageddon.
About a kilometre...
Yeah, closer.
Big, high, the length is as big as a kilometre. It could possibly just wipe out the whole of civilization. That's what happened to the dinosaurs. But if it's smaller than that...
Yeah, like the dinosaurs were real.
You don't need to worry.
Conspiracy.
So there's been this mission to... Right, OK, basically Bill Nelson, who's the head of NASA, right, he described this mission as something of a replay of the 1998 film Armageddon that we all remember.
I prefer Deep Impact myself.
OK, and they actually asked Bruce Willis, the lead actor, if he would attend the launch, but he declined. In the spirit of asking actors who appeared in things to do with space with William Shatner. It reminds me of Pigs in Space, actually.
I loved Pigs in Space.
With Miss Piggy.
They were just... This asteroid isn't actually heading to Earth, but they're just practising blowing...
Yes, I'm not very good at describing the whole story. Yes, they're monitoring it.
Imagine this if as a result of blowing up this asteroid, they create an asteroid.
But it's called the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, otherwise known as DART. And they were so happy with this, an acronym, that they've just used... If you read this thing, it's just like, DART this, the DART mission is doing that. Someone is so happy they came up with this double asteroid. It sounds like it's one asteroid, so it's not a double. They just wanted that.
It reminds me of the Woody Allen movie where he's playing himself as a little boy, you know. The universe is expanding.
I've never heard of Woody Allen. So...
Right, our next story is China banning celebrities from showing off their wealth or extravagant pleasure on social media. So presumably you can still take bikini pics as long as you're sitting in a Travelodge and it's clear you're not enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
You've got this one, Josh, haven't you?
So the Mail, showing off wealth, extravagant pleasure. This is how they're describing this here. Decadent ideas of money worship, hedonism and extreme individualism.
That's Christmas again.
But, like, they've defined fame. Like, what is the point of being famous if you can't do some decadent ideas of money worship, hedonism and extreme individualism? That is fame. So it's...
that's your 20s or 30s fame. It's not sort of...
Oh, what? Long-term
Yeah, it's a
fame.
young...
So they're really trying to crack down on this because it goes against the sort of ethos that the government are trying to push out there. And they're also talking about they have to now adhere to public order and good customs. This is in their social media accounts. And they have to have the correct public opinion, promote socialist core values. So actually it's kind of like Twitter anyway, certainly the Harry Potter stars. Everybody else, they're all conforming anyway, so...
There is a very dark and worrying puritanical undertone to this story, which is the disappearing celebrities and the new sort of authoritarianism and that's creeping into China. And
creeping in?
Well, yeah.
Is it coming over here?
Yeah.
I don't
Like
know
another
if it is.
variant?
I think it's just they're sort of unifying under this puritanism, puritanity, whatever the word is. And while we're busy squabbling and arguing and dividing and all the rest, but it's dark forces are at work there.
Yep, they are.
We'll fight them together.
We shall fight them.
GBNews.
We're going to be like Luke Skywalker. And...
I battle dark forces at work almost every week of my life within myself.
Do you win?
It's an ongoing battle, Dominic.
Right, a new poll shows that British people are more concerned about climate change than the pandemic, which is incredible when you consider that neither of these two issues have had any coverage from the mainstream media.
Well, as human beings, of course, we're all linked by our obsession and our fear about sex, death and money. That's what drives us all. And we can kind of get that all into climate change. Yes, it's the biggest issues of concern for the British public. I don't know if I find that strange or not. I can't quite work that out. But here we go with the figures again. 4 in 10 people, pay attention to the figures, rank the joint category of climate change, pollution and the environment as the biggest issue facing Britain today. So there was this massive study.
Did any of them say China?
No. But listen to this, is where it gets very complicated. More polling and percentages during just a very specific time, in a very specific age group. The polling was done from the 5th to the 11th of November, covering the end of the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow, and surveyed 1,001 people.
You're very well done for someone
concerned about. Yeah, it's overwhelming. The pandemic was the second biggest issue of concern. 27% of people mentioning the topic Brexit, together with the EU and Europe, that came in third, with 22% of the people mentioning it.
I think the most interesting thing about this is that supposedly younger people
yes.
care less about the environment.
That's so weird, exactly.
I think the problem is that Greta Thunberg, she's just done too good a job. I think young people are just now kind of like, oh, well, what's the point? Like, we're all going to die.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between what my daughter, for example, my eldest daughter, says and what she actually does. And I guess at the end of the day, you have to judge people on their deeds, not their words. And if her deeds are anything to go by, the environment is going to have a big problem going forward.
She likes hairspray.
She likes hairspray. She likes a lot of things.
Well,
right?
Listen, can I just say that almost half of these aged between 55 and 64 said the environment was a big issue. 43% of those aged 35 to 54. But yes, you're quite right. It shrank to 27% with those 18 to 34.
Can you just record that and put that on the internet? Rona said I'm quite right. Now, according to the Times, the Taliban have started a business selling narcotics, and they were always such nice young men. Josh, what's the story?
So this is a company called Farm, and the company here claims to provide collaborative pharmaceutical services to clients from startups to top 10 multinational healthcare companies, i.e. they're weed dealers. That's the best description.
That's the most LinkedIn description of a weed dealer ever.
Yeah, well, put that on your business card. And yeah, they're an Australian company, and they have made a deal with Taliban, who are desperate for money because they've been shunned rightly by various governments around the world. But these guys have gone in and said, yeah, we'll give this money if we can grow weed or process weed in Afghanistan. Of course, and then someone's going to be smoking that weed and be like, oh, it's just terrible what's happening to women in Afghanistan. Oh, someone should do something.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Afghan Black. I remember that. You used to get that when you were a teenager. Anyway.
You can see the new series,
flashback time.
Taliban Narcos.
Yes. Yeah. I wish I knew an Afghan word, and then I would have thrown in an Afghan pun, but I don't know a single Afghan word. Anyway, so to our next story. People who believe in horoscopes tend to be more narcissistic and less intelligent, a new study finds.
This made Rona...
That is such a Scorpio thing to write. Rona, this is in the Mail.
Yes, when I saw this, I thought it was perhaps a personal attack on my belief system.
You got very angry, didn't you?
I got very angry, but that's because my moon's in Scorpio. And my very, very serious side is because I'm a Capricorn ascendant. You know, when I saw Greta Thunberg, I thought Capricorn, 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 and I looked her up and she was indeed Capricorn everything.
What am
I? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Go and have a guess.
I can't. I don't know you enough. I haven't studied you enough.
Okay.
I have no idea, but sometimes we're showing our ascendant.
Definitely one of 12. I know that much.
Can I just say that I don't want to be the representative of, astrology, because I'm only just learning it. But I would say that it's not an overstatement to say I use it as a map for life, like the ancient emperors. And Carl Jung, the very famous psychoanalyst, he was a fan of all these matters. Now, this story, no surprise, as led by the Mail, right?
Yeah. God,
who, as we know, is always probing into the human condition.
Anti-astrology Mail. Ugh.
I'm
absolutely devastated that people are writing in this terrible way.
There's a link between people who believe in astrology, according to that article, and people who believe in conspiracy theorists, as well. Do you like a conspiracy?
What, like the towers went down, and there was one that was not, had a plane didn't go into it, and it had a lot of information, and it just collapsed. And somebody said, we're going to pull it. That sort of conspiracy.
Yeah.
The fact that the guy involved in the weapons of mass destruction, that they were trying to hide the scientist, went out onto the lonely field and just cut his wrists. Yes, I probably do believe in... Why did you think that Lee Harvey Oswald was solely responsible for the death of JFK?
I don't know.
I mean, you know, one could say that there may be some scope for investigating these things. But this story is trying to basically just, well, it's no surprise that the Mail has not got any esoteric leanings whatsoever. And it has slagged off people like myself who love astrology. But there's crappy astrology in
the Mail is
magazines,
sometimes
and there's good
pro-astrology.
Do they have an astrology column in the Mail?
I wouldn't know, but they must do. They must do.
Flick to page 24.
Right, we're doing last story.
People would benefit. People would really benefit from having a look at some really good quality
you should
astrology.
do one. Rona's,
I'd like to.
And you should do it
I'm
in Donald
clearly
Trump's
changing.
Voice. Right, hiring a hitman is next. We've all done that. Rona, who's doing the hitman story?
The hitman and her, not me.
I can do it. Yeah, there's a website called Rent a Hitman.
Fiverr.
Rentahitman.com. Yeah, that's the slightly cheaper version. So yeah, there's a website called Rent a Hitman, which I believe is a joke website.
Yeah.
That someone believed was real and filled out the forms and sent it off, and the person who owns the website sent that information to the police, and they did a sting, and that person got arrested for trying to get their ex-husband murdered. So when I read this story, I immediately took out givememillion.com.
There is a website I saw once called Chechen Hitmen.
Okay, how would you find that?
In the dark hours of the night.
You're on the dark web.
I was in an angry place. No, there is a website, and I guess it's exactly the same as getahitman.com.
I don't know how you would...
When you write books, you end up Googling weird stuff. And one of the things I was looking at is things you could, when I was writing my Bitcoin book, things you could buy with Bitcoin.
What's your Bitcoin book called?
Bitcoin, the Future of Money. But one of the things I was interested in was whether you can hire a hitman.
Are you a Leo?
Bitcam. Very close, Virgo.
But
anyway,
it's real.
It's real. Hitman does exist. Right, on that note, that is all we have time for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to my guests, Josh Howie and Rona Cameron. We'll be back tomorrow night. Same time, same place. And what I've done is I've started this goodbye notice a little bit too soon, and so I'm just doing a little bit of filler then. We'll see you tomorrow night, and you are allowed to go to bed now. Sleep well.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle.